I, 24F, still live with my parents while finishing grad school, and this weekend was supposed to be my big thesis celebration party. About 50 people were coming over, extended family, professors, friends, basically everyone who matters in my life. My parents had been planning this for months, and my mom, 52F, had transformed our backyard into something that belonged in a magazine. Everything was perfect until 3 hours before guests were due to arrive. That's when my dad, 54M, sauntered into the kitchen where my mom and I were prepping appetizers. Now, I should mention that my dad is normally a pretty well-groomed guy, but he'd been swamped at work and kept postponing his haircut for weeks. He looked like a cross between Einstein and a 70s rock star who'd been living in the wilderness. "So," he said, munching on a carrot stick, "I couldn't get an appointment at the barber. They're booked solid." My mom froze mid-chop. The knife she was using to slice cheese hovered dangerously in the air as her eyes slowly traveled up to Dad's wild mane. "John," she said in that deceptively calm voice that means trouble is brewing, "the photographer will be here in 2 hours." Dad shrugged. "I'll wear a hat." That's when Mom made the fateful decision that would send our perfectly planned party into chaos. "I'll cut it." I nearly choked on my iced tea. "Mom, no. Remember when you tried to trim Aunt Carol's bangs at Christmas?" For those who don't know, Aunt Carol wore a headband for 6 months after that incident. Dad looked nervous but resigned. "Do you even have proper scissors?" Mom was already rummaging through drawers. "I have fabric shears." "Hair, fabric, it's all just cutting, right?" "That's not even remotely accurate," I protested. But Mom was already dragging a kitchen chair to the center of the room and draping a tablecloth around Dad's shoulders. "It'll be fine," she insisted. "I watch those haircutting videos on YouTube all the time." Dad shot me a pleading look as Mom positioned him under the kitchen light. "Hold still," she commanded, wielding her fabric scissors like she was about to perform surgery. "This will just take a minute." And that, dear Reddit, is how disaster began to unfold in our house exactly 3 hours before 50 guests were due to arrive at our doorstep. The kitchen quickly transformed into an impromptu salon, with Mom circling Dad like a shark. She started with what she called just a little trim in the back, a phrase that should strike fear into anyone's heart. The first snip seemed harmless enough. Then came another, and another. With each cut, little tufts of my dad's salt and pepper hair floated to the floor like sad confetti. "Honey," Dad said tentatively, "maybe we should check how it looks?" "Don't be silly," Mom replied, confidence growing with each snip. "I need to get it all even first." I watched in horror as she moved to the sides, her technique growing bolder. The problem was, she kept finding uneven spots that needed just a little more trimming. Anyone who's ever cut hair knows this is the spiral of doom. Dad, bless his heart, sat there like a trooper, eyes closed in what I can only describe as preemptive grief. About 10 minutes in, my brother Jake, 22M, walked into the kitchen, took one look at the scene, and let out a laugh so loud it probably registered on seismographs. "What are you doing?" he wheezed between fits of laughter. Mom shot him a death glare. "Creating a masterpiece. Now either help or leave." Jake pulled out his phone. "This is definitely going on Instagram." That's when Dad made the fatal mistake of trying to see his reflection in the microwave door. His sudden movement, combined with Mom's precise cutting trajectory, resulted in a chunk of hair the size of a small rodent falling directly onto the tablecloth. There was a moment of perfect, crystalline silence. "Was that supposed to happen?" Dad asked weakly. Mom's face went through all 5 stages of grief in about 3 seconds. It's fine," she stammered, though her voice had climbed an octave. "I can fix this." Jake was now doubled over, tears streaming down his face as he continued filming. I grabbed a hand mirror from my purse and reluctantly handed it to Dad. "Maybe you should see what's happening." The look on his face when he saw the back of his head, a patchwork of different lengths with one distinctly bald spot near his crown, is something I'll never forget. "Margaret," he said slowly, using Mom's full name. Never a good sign. "What have you done to me?" Mom's scissors clattered to the floor. "I can fix it," she repeated, but her voice lacked conviction. The doorbell rang. We all froze. "That's Uncle Rob and Aunt Judy," I whispered. "They're always early." "Don't answer it," Dad hissed, clutching the tablecloth around his shoulders like a security blanket. Jake, still laughing, volunteered to stall them while we finished the masterpiece. As he left, I heard him tell our relatives that Dad was getting ready, and they should wait on the porch. "What do we do now?" I asked, surveying the damage. Dad looked like he'd been attacked by a lawnmower operated by a blindfolded toddler. There were patches of different lengths everywhere, with that one horrifying bald spot glistening under the kitchen lights. Mom was frantically Googling how to fix botched haircut when her eyes suddenly lit up. The electric razor. We can just buzz it all off. Dad's face went pale. I haven't had a buzz cut since basic training in '88. It's either that or go out looking like you lost a fight with Edward Scissorhands, I pointed out. After a moment of desperate silence, Dad nodded grimly. Get the razor. Jake returned as Mom was retrieving Dad's beard trimmer from the bathroom. Uncle Rob says he can hear you all yelling from outside. Also, Grandma just pulled up. The next 15 minutes were a blur of buzzing, sweeping, and occasional whimpering, mostly from Dad. Mom, now in full crisis management mode, worked with surprising efficiency. Soon Dad was sporting a military-style buzz cut that, while shocking, was at least uniform. When she finished, Dad stared at his reflection in silent horror. 54 years old, and he looked like a new Army recruit. I look like I'm about to ship off to boot camp, he mumbled. Mom, trying to be supportive, kissed his newly exposed scalp. You look handsome. Very aerodynamic. The doorbell rang again, more insistently this time. Just own it, I advised Dad. Tell everyone it was a deliberate choice. For summer. In April, he questioned. Jake slapped him on the back. Say it's for charity. Everyone loves a charity buzz cut. Dad took a deep breath, squared his shoulders, and marched to the door like a man heading to his execution. To everyone's surprise, especially mine, Dad became the hit of the party. He concocted an elaborate story about donating his hair to a children's charity, which led to 3 of his buddies drunkenly offering to shave their heads in solidarity by the end of the night. Mom eventually confessed to Grandma, who laughed so hard she nearly choked on her champagne. The photographer managed to capture the moment Dad's boss tried to rub his head for luck, and that photo, not my graduation portrait, is now framed in our living room. So, Reddit, that's how my thesis celebration turned into the haircut party that our family still talks about 2 years later. And yes, Mom is permanently banned from touching anyone's hair ever again.